Hello guys, this is FXivGaming and this is another episode of the Brits challenge. Now, last episode I said I'd review some of my transfers that I've got in January. Now, I've just signed those people, so let's just look at the people who I've brought in. I've brought in Lewis Morte. Now, obviously, any football fan knows who Lewis Morte is. Ex-West Ham and numerous other clubs. He's got a lot of experience. I've signed him. He's 36 years old. And I've signed him in on a free transfer from Motherwell, basically just to to highlight the change my club's going through, and attracting a big name like Lewis Morte is a lot for a club like myself, and I think that it's really important. Now, another one who I brought in is Aidan Chippendale from Accrington Stanley for 170k, which is a great signing for my club. He's a decent defender and he should do really well for me. Because Swansea are my feeder club, I've also managed to get in Henry Jones and Lee Lucas here on loan. Now, because they're my feeder club, I've not been able to get any clauses which say how much I can buy them for if the loan's successful, so that is a slight problem I may face, that if they are really good, which I think they could full well be, I will struggle to get them back in January. And it's the same problem with Samir Carruthers, but he's a slightly different case because I've heard of him. I've heard of Samir Carruthers. Now, it might be because I'm a Villa fan, but I've heard he's a great prospect for the Republic of Ireland, and he looks to be a great player to me, and I think it's a real credit to my club that I've managed to get Samir Carruthers in as a player. Also, I've got Enrico Weiler from Bochum in the German league. He's a German centre half, and he cost 9k from the German side, and he's just to provide some squad cover really, and also he's a young player, so I'm pursuing my policy of youth. And that is what I've done also with the signings of Philippe Oliviera and Bruno Silva. Silva's another centre half, and I've signed him in on a free transfer, really just to because he's a young player, and hopes I can develop him to be a really good player, and him and Weiler or him and Wilson can hopefully form a good partnership. Oliviera is an attacking midfield centre. He's Portuguese like Silva is, and he's a young player who I'm hoping to develop as a player. Okay, so just looking at who I've got rid of. I've got rid of 3 players in January. Well, one of them in February actually. I've got rid of Ryan McKerrigan. Sorry, I think that's how you pronounce it. I've got rid of him on a free transfer. I think I brought him in my first season, and really I think it just shows that I had a certain naivety, and I thought that any youth player would be good enough for Linfield, and I've come to realise that Linfield are quite a big club, and I was very uncultured about the way in which I saw Linfield at first, and now I've come to realise a bit more about the status of player that you should sign for them. I've got rid of also Alex Lynch on loan to Ballyclare. Lynch is a Welsh goalkeeper, and so I've just sent him out on loan to my feeder club Ballyclare in order to gain him some experience, and then I'll reassess whether or not he's good enough for my squad. But one player who I found out who isn't good enough is another player I brought in January. Sorry, not in January. In my first ever transfer window, which was Torian Coleman-Carr, who I've got rid of on a free transfer. Okay, so let's just have a look at my fixtures. So last episode I just played Hanover and gone out of the Europa League, bottom of my group, and I faced Ballymena United in Dance Premier League. Now, I hadn't won for 2 games, so it was important I got a result, and that was not what happened. I drew 1-0 against Ballymena United, And then I followed this up with a 1-1 draw against Crusaders, a 2-2 draw against Genevan, and then finally a 1-0 loss against Distillery, making it 6 games since I'd won, which is my longest ever drought since I've become manager. So I was absolutely fuming with my lads' performances, and I think that my furiosity showed through by the next result, because we won 3-0 against Carrick. So I gave them a bit of the hairdryer treatment. I told them that they should do this for the fans and that they're basically an absolute disgrace and they're shit off my shoe, basically. And it worked, because Cal Naismith picked up 2 goals and Lee Lucas had a goal in an important victory, I think, because the wheels can fall off of a campaign with a few losses. It can affect morale quite considerably, so I think that getting the result was fundamentally important to my side. I followed it up with a 3-2 victory over Ballymallard United in a Wednesday kickoff away from home at Fernie Park. Then I faced Anag United in the Irish Cup 4th round. It's a piece of silverware I won last season, and I'm keeping up my title defence because I won 2-0 away from home. And I followed that up with a nice 3-0 victory over Cliftonville, which was on TV, which is a bit of a rarity I've noticed for my football. But against my title rivals, Portadown, I drew 3-0 in the Danksbank Premier League to put a slight dent in my title hopes, but by this point I am runaway leaders, really. And against Coleraine, I won 2-0 next at Windsor Park, and then against Dungannon Swifts, I won 2-0 away from home at Stangmore Park. Then I faced Dungannon again, this time in the Irish Cup 5th round, which I drew 0-0 at Windsor Park, and then I followed that up with a replay in the 5th round. So that was 3 times in a row I'd played Dungannon Swifts, and away from home at Stangmore Park I won 2-0. And just looking at that game, Philip Lowry and Mark McAllister got the goals. Mark McAllister's was a particularly good goal, which is quite surprising for him. He chested it down and volleyed it from the edge of the area, or at least that's what I believe I saw. Although I suppose that's somewhat controversial. In the Danksbank Premier League, I won 2-0 at home in the against Ballymallard United, and it was really getting close to me wrapping up the title this year. So I'm really pleased that basically that we're not leaving it to the last day like last season, because we can't do that if we want to become the European champions, because this is a very poor standard of league. And comparing this to Explosive Gaming's challenge, it's a poorer standard. They're something like the 70th odd league, we're 100 odd, so very poor indeed. Next, after the Ballymallard game, we faced Not Breda in the Irish Cup quarter-final, which away from home I won 3-1 to set up an Irish Cup semi-final game. But next I kicked off my All-Ireland Cup defence campaign against Cliftonville with a 3-0 victory in the first leg, which I followed up then with a 2-1 victory at home in the second leg. But in between that, I also had a 2-0 victory over Glenvannon at home, and against my rivals, a really important game, I won 3-2 at home in the Danksbank Premier League. So Brian McCall gave us the lead in the 4th minute, and Wes Fletcher with quite a tap-in scored in the 5th minute to extend our lead. That lead was tripled in the 16th minute with a Philip Lowry goal, and Andrew Waterworth then brought it back to 3-1 in the 28th minute, and Stephen Parkhouse gave him real hope of a comeback in the 56th minute, but I think it was a performance of champions as we held on against our tightest rivals, and it really has made the fans happy to get one over on our rivals. Sorry. So yeah, I think that made them really happy, and that's about it for this video, really. So next episode, I'll show you how I did in all the finals, and I think I've got reason to be less happy than I was last season. So, but I haven't actually played them yet. So, but I just have a bad feeling about these finals, really. I think it's hard to win titles 2 times in a row, although